Hi everyone, this is Marianne and welcome to my channel. For the year 2022, I decided that I should be more mindful about developing the habit of saving money. And in support of that, I made myself a little cash box using this plastic box that I purchased from our local Daiso for only 88 Philippine pesos. To make things methodical and easy, and also pretty and fun, I decided to make cash pouches for this box, and there must be one pouch for each day of the quarter. That means I must make a total of 93 cash pouches, and that is what I'm going to make in this video. And of course, there's a lot of measuring because I want to make sure that the cash pouches will be of the proper size, perfect to fit inside the box, while still accommodate the paper currency that I will be putting in. The individual cash pouches will be made of two different kinds of paper and they will also be laminated. So I first decided on the dimensions of the finished pouches, and then from that I just deducted the size of the edge seal that is needed for the lamination to figure out the size of the paper panels that I need to lay out and cut. And to make sure that I am making a more or less accurate estimate of what the thickness of the entire stack of pouches will be, I measured the thickness of my cash envelope system. I made this cash envelope system myself, and I have a video about it, which I will link down below. These use laminated side-loading pouches using the same papers and lamination that I will be using for the cash pouches. So the two projects will more likely be of the same thickness per pouch. And to make sure that I have the height correctly, and to make sure that it actually will not bump the lid of the box, I even made a little piece of paper to go into the box. I closed the lid and checked to see if the paper inside prevented the box from closing properly, and it didn't. It still moved around. So my tip for you, if you want to make a project same as this one, is to purchase the box first and then adapt your pouches from the measurements of the actual box that you are going to use. The two different papers I'm going to use is the Durer tracing paper. This is in US letter and it's 90 to 95 GSM. It comes in a pack of 10. I purchased this for 44 pesos from a store in my city called Master Square. This will be the front panel. For the back panel of the pouch, I'm using this Skytone paper. It's just white paper, but it's 120 GSM. It also comes in US letter size and the pack has 10 sheets. I purchased this for 24 pesos from a store in my city called Hong. And then I went to Pages on my Mac and laid out each panel for the pouches. I had to do this because I wanted a color on the front of the cash pouches and a number to represent each of the 31 days of every month, just to make it even easier for me to make sure that I have put in my savings for the day. I turned on the ruler view on Pages and I just created a box that is the size that I have decided on when I was measuring the box. See, it is 110 millimeters wide and 70 millimeters tall. One month will have a green color, another month will be blue, and another month will be a light orange. And then I went ahead and printed everything on the tracing paper. Here they are, all printed out and completely dry. Remember that when you're printing on tracing paper, you will have to wait longer for the ink to dry. Now, because the tracing paper will be on the front and the 120 GSM paper will be on the back, I wanted the two sheets to be properly secured together from this point forward because I want all of the edges of each panel to be cut flush and straight. If it's not flush, it will show through the lamination and will annoy me to no end. So to adhere the two panels together, I'm using this Zig Kuretake two-way glue. This glue goes on light blue but dries completely clear. If you adhere the two papers together while the glue is still blue and wet, it will give a permanent bond. If you wait for the glue to dry to clear and adhere the two papers after that, that will give a temporary bond and that makes the papers repositionable or removable. For this step, I did not need to make it repositionable or removable, so I did not wait for the glue to dry. I just stuck the papers together even when the glue was still blue and wet, but I of course made sure that I placed only a very small dot at the place that will become the bottom corners of each pouch. That way it won't matter if the two panels there are glued together at the corners. And later on, as we go along, you will see the benefit of doing this step. After all of the papers have been adhered, it is now time to cut. But because I usually give away my paper scraps to other people, I made sure to cut off the biggest edges first and then put them inside an envelope that contains all of my paper scraps for the giveaway. And then after that, I proceeded with the cutting. These super small paper scraps I just throw away are city recycles, so these go into the bin for biodegradable materials. Now, the first benefit to adhering the two sheets of paper together with glue before cutting is that they do not slip around when I was doing the cutting. And because they stuck together, I was able to make a clean cut, like the edges are all flush. And here is everything all cut down to the proper size. Now the pouches will be going into the box in this orientation. And I want the edge of the lamination on the sides to be wider than the usual 5 millimeters that people leave on, just because I think that will be cute and so that the stack of clear lamination will echo the semi-transparent box. I mean, the edges of the pouches will echo the semi-transparent box. So I will be leaving behind 15 millimeters of lamination on both sides and the usual 5 millimeters of lamination at the bottom. I will be using this Quaff laminating film. I bought a box of 100. This is in the size that we call long size in the Philippines, which is 8.5 by 13 inches. To make sure that I leave enough space for the wider lamination at the sides of each pouch, I made sure to measure. I laid a ruler down under the laminating film and placed each pouch accordingly. The top of the lamination will be cut off completely, so I don't need an extra edge there. But the bottom will have a 5 millimeter edge, and like I said, the sides will have 15 millimeters edge for the left and the right. And then for the next batch of pouches, I just laid down another laminating film on top of the first one and then laid down the pouches in the same place using the first film as a guide. And by the way, I will link down below where I purchased this box of laminating film, but take note that I am located in the Philippines and I use a shopping app called Shopee, which might not ship to your country. But because I will link Shopee in the description box below, make sure that you check to see if they can ship to your country. Shopee ships via private couriers, not via the post office, which is, I dare say, the only reason why everything I have ever purchased from Shopee has been delivered to me. If it were handled by the post office here in the Philippines, I would have lost parcels left and right. Most of the sellers from Shopee are located either in the Philippines or China, and sometimes I see sellers from that are based in Thailand and Indonesia. But anyway, just make sure to check first if Shopee delivers to your country. And finally, now it's time to laminate. I will also link where I bought this laminating machine. I like this machine a lot. It is very small and very basic, but it does the job. I only ever use 125 microns, which is 5 mil, I believe. I've never felt the need to use the 250 microns or the 10 mil. So for 125 microns, this machine is fine, although on the instruction manual, it says it can laminate 250 microns as well. I do have an unboxing of this, which I will link down below. At first, the switch doesn't light up, but when it is hot enough, it turns green, and that's when I can start feeding in the project sheet by sheet. After a couple of sheets in, I realized that the space between the top row and the bottom row of pouches were probably keeping some air in because the lamination comes out cloudy in that part, but very clear around the edges of the entire film. So what I did is I made the top row of pouches upside down because I only really need the lamination seal to be on what will be the bottom of the finished pouches, so that when I laminate it this way, it will not matter if the top part of each pouch will not be completely sealed, because I will be cutting that off and you will see that later. And that method worked for the lamination. And the second benefit of gluing the two panels of paper together is that they don't move around when I am handling all of the pouches for lamination. And after everything has been laminated, it is now time to cut. I will be using my simple basic paper trimmer for this step. I also purchased this on Shopee. It was very affordable. I will link it down below. And then I just turned the pouch around to cut off the rest of the edges, making sure to leave behind 15 millimeters of lamination at the two sides and 5 millimeters lamination at the bottom. And now, as you can see, it fits inside the box and the pouch is right in the center, and it looks like it is floating in the center, but is actually held in the center because the laminated edge on the sides is wider than normal. And then I just went ahead and cut all the rest of the pouches. Now, some of the lamination I felt were not perfectly clear, which means that they might not be perfectly sealed. So I just ran them through the laminating machine again, one or two more times, and that made everything completely clear. So I'm assuming that they're also completely sealed. And here are the finished pouches, all 93 of them. They're all numbered 1 to 31 for each color, like I said, to represent each day of each month. Of course, some months will have less than 31 days. So when that happens, I will just put the extra pouch at the back and not put anything in it. And while I am arranging these in the proper order, I just put inside the box a pot of glue to make all of the pouches stand up as they should. And by the way, if you're going to adopt this idea of a cash box with individual pouches for every single day, you don't have to limit yourself to only 3 months. If you have enough material and a big enough box and even more time, please feel free to make 365 pouches for the entire year. But I don't have much time. Actually, I don't have that much materials and I have even less time. I started working on this at 9 o'clock in the morning and I finished at 2:30 p.m. to make pouches for 3 months. So that should give you an idea of how much time to block out if you want to make this project in one sitting. Now, I wanted there to be only 3 months in the box because 3 months is exactly 1/4 of a year. I wanted this to be a quarterly savings of sorts, so that when all of the pouches for the 3 months are filled in, I can take out the cash and then put it somewhere like an investment or something that can earn some form of income or other. Or I can also do that every month. But now I realize that the boxes may be too big for only 3 months because the pouches keep flopping down and it's annoying me. So to keep them in place, I have even put in an almost empty bottle of micellar water, and that bottle fits. That means that there's still way too much space left in here. Now here's one pouch already containing money. The reason why I use tracing paper for the front panel of the pouches is so that I will know when a pouch is empty or not in just one glance. And it just looks pretty. And then there's definitely enough room in this box for more pouches, but certainly not enough for 6 months worth of pouches. So I decided to abandon the quarterly concept and just add in 1 more month's worth of pouches. And so that is what I did. I made 31 more pouches using the exact same process and method. This time it is a lavender color. And now, once there are 4 months worth of pouches inside the box, everything fits. It should not be an exact fit, by the way. There must be some room inside the box for the pouches to expand because they will expand a little bit when they already have paper currency in them. To illustrate, I have filled in the first 4 pouches with a single paper currency, and as you can see, they literally are bulked up. And as you go along, they will get flattened out when they are already being pressed inside the pouches and against each other, but definitely the box still has to have room for the pouches to expand. And I think the space here is enough because from the side, as you can see, there is space for the pouches to expand, but not too much space that the pouches, fall down. I think 4 months inside this box is just right. So I am excited to start using this beginning January 1. Although I am not sure yet how much money I am going to put in here for every day, and I don't think it even has to be a fixed amount for every day. Maybe I will set a minimum amount for every day and see where I go from there. I am not very good at saving cash daily or regularly. All of my savings are actually in a provident fund that's been set up by my employer, and that is for a different purpose. And that actually does not create in me an intentional habit of saving on a daily basis in terms of putting aside cold cash consciously and deliberately every single day. And that is the habit that I want to create with the help of this box. And that is my video for you today. I hope you found this video helpful, and I hope that you were able to get some ideas for how to set up your own saving system for the coming year. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.